I have two new tools in the workshop that I'm excited to try out, so that's what I'm going to be doing in this video. The first is this one, and you'd be forgiven for thinking that this is a nail gun, seeing as it says air nailer on it, but it's actually a nails return gun. And I bought this for a very specific reason, which I'll talk about shortly. I picked this up on Amazon. First impressions, it actually feels really nice. This is all solid metal, got a nice rubberized grip. It's got quite a lot of weight to it for a pneumatic tool, so let's give this a try. Right, so I'll show you that specific reason that I mentioned. We recently had the roof of our bungalow replaced and all of the old roof battens were thrown in the skip, so I pulled them out. Yes, that's right, I'm now raiding wood from my own skip rather than someone else's. And as you can see, there are lots and lots of nails that need to be pulled out. Normally, I would just use a hammer and maybe a crowbar to pull these nails out. But as you can see, each one takes a bit of time, and I'm hoping that my new tool will save me some time. So I fired up the compressor. I'm not sure this is the right fitting. It doesn't seem to go onto my hose. And when I compare it with my air stapler, you'll see that it's slightly different. The manual isn't much help. It's all in Chinese. Why is nothing ever straightforward? I do have some old fittings here, so hopefully, oh, that looks like the one I need. Fingers crossed. Please fit. It fits. Okay, let's try that again. Nice. So you just put the nozzle of the gun over the tip of the nail and fire it out. Brilliant. I found it best to do it over a dustbin because they can come out with quite some force and they bounce off the floor and all sorts, so you should definitely wear safety glasses and gloves while doing this for obvious reasons. I did find that some of the really long 4-inch or 100mm nails couldn't be fired out all of the way. You'll see it managed to deal with about 70mm of the length of those nails, with the other 30mm still embedded in the wood. But probably 95% of the nails that I was removing came out all of the way first time. Let's see if it fires out a nail that's kinked over like this. Awesome. I had a mixture of regular and pressure treated timber here, and basically I'm going to sort it into piles. The first is reusable timber that I can use in future projects. Secondly, the non-pressure treated wood that is no good for projects but I can still use as firewood. And then the pressure treated stuff, which again I'll try to reuse in projects. And you can always tell the pressure treated stuff by cutting into it. If you can see a faint outline of staining like you can in this piece, usually either green or brown, although with roof patterns it can be any colour of the rainbow really, then it's treated and it's not safe to burn. And all of the stuff that can be reused in projects I'm going to put into bundles with some tape wrapped around them, and as I've officially now run out of space to store timber, I'm going to store this outside with a tarpaulin over it, which should hopefully keep it dry. Not sure what I'll use this for yet, but with the price of timber being so high, it seemed crazy and very wasteful to throw all of this away. The second product I'm looking to try out is this, an infrared paint stripper. This was gifted to me by a company just to be upfront and honest about it, and the chap who emailed me about it said that basically it works really well for stripping off multiple layers of paint. And maybe we'll try that later in the video, but what I'm personally more interested in is whether it can strip off varnish and wood finishes from pieces of furniture, because that's something that I'm more likely to find it useful for. So let's get this out of the box. So there it is, and the case is pressed steel, I guess. And it's got this heat panel here, nice thick and chunky rubber cable. All feels like decent quality so far, so let's start it up and see if this works. So I've given the ceramic heating element 10 minutes to fully heat up, and I can feel the heat radiating off it now. And according to the manual, I need to hold this approximately 12mm from the surface that I want to strip for 10 to 20 seconds and then scrape away the finish. So let's give it a try. I've got this old bedside table which I picked up for free by the side of a road, and I'm not precious about this at all, so if I ruin it, it's not a big deal, although obviously I'd prefer not to ruin it. That's 10 seconds. And nothing so far. That's another 10 seconds and wow, that's not bad. I don't know what this finish is. I think it's an oak veneer which has been stained and then had a thin coat of possibly shellac or something like that on top. You'll see here that unfortunately I did get some scorching of the finish. It seemed to scrape away okay, but it had unfortunately discoloured the veneer a little. And that wasn't the only time I managed to scorch it either. If you're careful with the tool though, you can get reasonably good results. I thought I should just try an area with the scraper alone without using the IR paint stripper, and actually I have to say it was much quicker, easier to remove, and actually gave cleaner, better results just using the scraper on its own. By the way, the scrapers I'm using here are by Barco. They have carbide blades which last really well, and I highly recommend these tools. I'll leave links to them in the description box below. So not really a resounding success on a veneered piece of furniture, but what about removing paint? I have a piece of plywood up here which has an old oil paint finish on it. I thought I should try the scraper on its own again first, and this paint was really tough and difficult to remove. I had to exert a lot of downward pressure on the scraper to remove the paint, and obviously if I was working on a large area, that would take a fair amount of effort. Still, I was able to remove the paint entirely and it looked good. So now I'll try the other half with the IR paint stripper, about 10 to 15 seconds, and this time it peeled away much easier. So I have some thoughts and some feedback actually about the IR paint stripper. In use, I found that I kind of wanted to see what was going on. So when I was holding this to the surface, it was difficult to tell how long I should hover over one particular area before moving on to the next. So in operation, you kind of have to keep lifting it up and looking. And I found that a bit annoying, to be honest. Also, seeing as this thing is designed to be held 12 millimeters from the surface that you're stripping, surely it would make sense to have some kind of 12 millimeter lipping around the edge here so that you could keep it at that consistent distance from the surface. I think that would make it much more user-friendly because maintaining a consistent 12 millimeter distance from the surface for 10 to 20 seconds is easier said than done. And as you could see in the footage, I got some scorch marks. And yes, that was user error. Maybe I'm just not used to using it properly yet. But on the other hand, it would be quite easy to make a mistake like that and potentially ruin the surface that you're trying to strip. Particularly if you're working with a thin veneered surface, the chances are that you're probably melting the glue that's holding the veneer to the substrate as well. Is it a total gimmick? Definitely not. It does work. Would I buy one? Probably not. I find it quicker just to go straight to the scraper, and I also get more consistent results with the scraper too. But again, maybe if I had more practice with this thing, I could get better results. There could be some special use cases for this. So for example, if you weren't able to exert so much downward pressure with the scraper, then this definitely works well for loosening up the paint and making it a lot easier to scrape. So yeah, it's not bad, but I probably wouldn't buy one. The manual that comes in the box is actually really good. It's in full English and everything in it makes sense, which is a bit of a rarity nowadays. If you're interested in buying either one of these products, then I will leave links in the description box below. So that's it for this one. Thank you for watching.